Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we celebrate and discuss the film Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor from IamTomTaylor.com.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Gerry Porter.
I'm John Brueggen from AlligatorFarm.com.
Welcome, John. We're excited to have you here today.
Thank you.
You come all the way from the sunny shores of Florida, right?
Correct. St. Augustine. Beautiful place.
Nice. And you're actually, what would you classify as your area of expertise?
I'm a herpetologist and the director of a reptile-centric zoo, so crocodiles and snakes tend to be my specialty.
Did you say snakes?
Snakes?
Well, you came to the right place, namely the Well of Souls. Because the Well of Souls is filled with snakes. And minute 71 is filled with Belloq talking about a china cup before discovering Indy's dig. And it ends with Belloq once again reminding Indy that what was Indy's is now his.
And what I dig about...
Dig.
And what I dig about this... Oh, damn it. He just threw me off. This minute starts and you hear John Williams' Ark of the Covenant theme, but it's fast and it's anxious sounding, and it's like you'd appreciate it, Tommy. It's really anxious, just how you usually are. It's
I'm anxious right now.
No, kind of like when you're in an elevator and somebody starts talking to you about the Cubs game last night.
Why do you have to tell everybody about my kryptonite? People talking to me.
No, but it's the Ark of the Covenant theme, but it's faster and it's anxious and it's kind of different sounding, and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, this is the scene where the Ark of the Covenant has officially been disturbed, and Yahweh is going to put some Bible beat down on some loudmouth. That's what it sounds like.
And that's about what happens eventually.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
It seems like a bad idea, like to still be working out here at sunrise, because they've got this giant tripod hoist that's sticking up, and there has to be smoke pouring out of that thing from all the fire they've lit down there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but what choice do they really have? I mean, I imagine they're trying to wrap things up. They're getting Saul out of there. They're about to get Indy out of there, and then they'll shut it all down, but not too soon.
I think they're under that times of the essence thing here, and obviously Indy's always like fly by the seat of your pants thing.
Yeah. Do you think if Indy hadn't taken that long, loving, caressing moment with the Ark before he opened it up, do you think they would have had enough time?
They would have gotten out of there at like 4:15 a.m.
It would be a different movie. They'd just disappear into the dusk and nobody would ever see them again.
Yeah, the end.
Well, I've got a question for you here, John.
Mm-hmm.
Is this right here when Indy says the torches are burning out? And I was wondering, are snakes afraid of fire, or were they basically just barbecuing these snakes to keep them away?
Well, it's interesting because they in that scene, you look down on them and they're all just nicely around the edge of the fire and everything looks perfect. But of course, these are cold-blooded animals and they are very much attracted to heat. And so there is a scene in the bonus disc of Spielberg talking to. He's actually holding. They weren't all snakes. There were some legless lizards in there, and he's holding this legless lizard and saying, "You're ruining my shot. You're supposed to be afraid of fire."
I remember that.
The legless lizard thing is interesting. They needed more snakes. There's only so many snakes in all of England, and so the legless lizards, most people wouldn't know the difference, but these are truly lizards. They have eyelids and they have ears. things snakes don't have. And so I can look at this scene, and there are literally thousands of lizards instead of snakes in place of the snakes in this shot.
You're breaking Gerry's heart.
This movie is bull. Well, and I wondered, where are legless lizards indigenous to?
I'm gonna ruin your whole night. Let's
go for it.
They're a European. These are big legless lizards. They're commonly called Sheltopusics, and they are a reptile from Europe, and commonly kept as pets because they're fairly easy to keep, and they eat insects instead of mice a lot of the time, so they're easier to feed. And so they were easy to get around the soundstage that they had made for this. But none of the snakes that are in this scene, not the cobras, not the pythons, not the boa constrictors, none of them are native to Egypt.
Aw, man.
Wow.
Even the rubber ones? I keep thinking whenever they show, it was very famous. Like, probably that same making of thing you're referencing. They, Spielberg's like, geez, we don't have nearly enough snakes. And I keep thinking, I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, like, couldn't they have just had like a nice bed of rubber snakes and then have like 100 real ones just to give it some motion or something?
I think the motion is key. I think the rubber snakes just sitting there in those tighter shots is really tough to do.
Yeah.
And they even still a lot of these lizards didn't do as much movement as I'm sure he wanted. It's kind of like some of those opening scenes with the tarantulas. They had to really get creative to get the tarantulas to move around.
Right. Never work with animals or kids.
So none of the snakes in this scene is indigenous to Egypt.
Correct. And there is a cobra that's native to Egypt, but these two cobras that they worked with are monocle cobras, so they're from India, and then there's these gold. A couple minutes earlier, when they're getting the ark out of the altar, there's these gold snakes that are wrapped around the columns, right about where you see R2D2 and C3PO in the scene. And they're rattlesnakes. They obviously have rattles on the tail, and they have big open fangs. And there are no rattlesnakes in all of Africa. They're a New World snake.
Well, maybe Shishak, the way Spielberg did. Maybe he sent out to like India and Arizona, and he wanted all the best, most exotic snakes for the Well of Souls.
Just imported them, sure.
Yeah.
I was
Shishak's art.
I was just gonna try those pants on, and just be like, all right, what if this is like a divine intervention sort of thing?
Power of God or something.
Power of God or something. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna put snakes. I don't care where they're from. I'm just gonna put snakes and a couple of legless lizards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
and a 3PO and R2.
I can.
Well, maybe the Ark draws in snakes from all over the world to defend it.
There you go.
Maybe it invented snakes.
Yeah. Let's say Shishak miraculously was able to get all these snakes here. Would it be possible for somebody to build like a hive of snakes that would last for, probably not 3,000 years, but could you plan a snake hive underground?
I can't even conceive of it.
What do you know?
If you're reading the book, it kind of suggests that there's snakes eating eggs and other snakes, and so that can only work for so long in itself. And then I really think, gosh, you'd have to have the number of rats that you see in the Last Crusade to feed all the snakes that you see in this movie.
You know what? I'm taking those pants off. This isn't working. I tried them on.
You tried.
They don't fit.
Well, somebody mentioned the torches burning out, and yes, the first thing Sal says is, "Indeed, the torches are burning out." And you look, but they seem to be doing fine. They got nice, robust flames coming out of them, and they're not short or anything. I think Sala might be panicking a little bit. I go first.
I figured Indy was just going to be like, ha, these are legless lizards.
What was I worried about?
I think the torch thing is because they used all their kerosene spraying it on the snakes, and so they didn't have any left to re-douse the torches.
No, that's true. That's fair.
God, I feel like I'm learning. If you're going to go to the Well of the Souls, bring a herpetologist.
And a lot of kerosene.
Yeah. Well, okay. Did you guys notice? Look, Salah may very well be the best digger in Cairo, but you know what? He sure as hell is a lousy rope Nazi lookout guy.
Well, what's he gonna do?
I know, but that's twice Andy's been on the short end of the Salah rope. You know?
That's true.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Salah came through for him last time.
But no, I mean, I guess no one's looking out. I mean, there wasn't the guy up on top going like, or no, nobody said, hey, look, the sun's going to be coming up in like 45 minutes, and we're the last people working here, so it might get a little squirrely.
Yeah. Well, what are they gonna do? Like 100 guys with guns run up the hill, and we got like 10 diggers.
Hey, the Nazis are coming!
Well, again, what are they going to do? Okay, I'll stay down here in the Well of Souls until they leave. I'm good, thanks.
Well, Indy's reaction is clear that this is the second time it's happened. He just he takes a deep breath and just growls Salah's name.
Salah. Oh, can I break Jerry's heart this time?
Oh, sure.
I mean, it won't break his heart, but it'll rattle him a little bit, and he'll never see the movie the same way again. All this Belloq and Indy business with like Belloq up at the top. I've never seen this done, but I know for a fact that that this scene was filmed probably months apart in two different places. Like the outside stuff was filmed in, Tunisia, and the inside stuff was filmed in England in a set. So I just want that to freak you out, Jerry. Sorry.
I'm gonna go into Salah's kid's bedroom.
Move over, kid.
Yeah, move over. I'm gonna jump off his bunk bed.
So I want to go back a couple seconds here though,
Oh, sure.
because there's a weird thing on the wall.
No, don't talk about it. I was hoping nobody would bring it up, that we could just get past it.
If you're listening at home, second 32 of minute 71.
Don't do it.
I think it's a Jawa. But there's a crazy
Nailed to
thing
the
on the wall above Indy, and it's not a shadow, but it looks like a weird space Jawa.
It looks like a nightmare.
Pete's losing his mind.
Yep. Except he's right.
When you see it, it freaks you out. I mean,
It's
you
really
either have
creepy.
to add it to Indy's dream, or you have to just try to ignore it.
I think you added to my nightmare.
It's really weird and creepy, and it does actually look like a space Jawa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hanging on
He's
the
got like a
wall.
little visor
just-
where his head would be.
Ugh.
Yeah. I mean, you're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah. It's just turned into J
I
horror
thought
all
it
of
like
a sudden.
maybe it was an Ankh or something at first. But it's not even close.
No, it's weird, and it doesn't move. I thought it was a shadow from his hat, maybe, but it doesn't move when he moves.
No, it's an evil creature. Portending bad things.
Or they just had a Jawa to watch over R2 and C-3PO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all part of the story.
But once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's never been in my scope of vision when I've watched that scene. But now
Yeah.
I can't look away.
Yeah, I just saw I think, John, you did too. We saw Raiders this weekend
Yeah.
on the big screen in the theater, and I did not see a phantom ghost Jawa hanging out on the wall. Oh.
But I'm gonna go again tomorrow, so I'll look for it.
Yeah, tell him we said hi. Oh, man.
So some more about the snakes. It turns out that at least a few people were bitten by snakes filming this. David Tomlin was one of them. He got bit by a python.
Oh, man.
And there's a weird story that I'm not sure I believe that Spielberg tells about how they got it off of him. And then Steve Edge is the animal handler for most of this movie, and he says that the stunt double for Marion wouldn't go in the pit with the snakes, so they asked him to shave his legs and put on the dress. and get in the pit with the snakes, which he did, and he got bit by at least one python.
Oh my god, is that bad news?
Wow.
Getting bit by a python?
They're not venomous, but it's certainly not a fun experience.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Wow,
Man.
Marion's really smart.
Even the fake Marion.
Yeah.
Well, Karen Allen apparently commented that she would prefer to change costumes with Indy because he seemed better protected from the snakes.
Yeah, really.
than she did.
Well, she's the one who wanted to get her character into that dress. She brought this on
that's
herself.
true.
Yeah, that's right.
One thing that always that I catch in this scene when Belloq's taunting him from up above, and he says, and Indy's like, "Why don't you come on down here? I'll show you." I mentioned before I had the story record. That's just the dialogue from the film and the sound and everything, and no narration or anything. It's very cool. And at this moment, he says, "Why don't you come on down? I'll show you. It's fantastic." So I always hear that it's fantastic, even though it's not in the movie.
Huh.
Yeah.
Right at that scene where Indy kind of turns the torch and says, son of a... there's a weird pile of snakes on the foot of one of those big Anubis statues. And it's like a ball. If you pay attention to it, there's something going on. A snake must have bit another snake or something, and they're kind of writhing on the top of that foot there.
Wow.
It's weird.
Well, what I love is, Belloq says, "Once again, Jones, what was briefly yours is now mine." And what's fantastic about the scene and the interplay is because Indy almost, he understands it. He understands it, and he almost, at least in the minute, accepts that that's his lot in life. He almost says he does all the dangerous work, and Belloq slips in at the end coolly with clever quips.
Is
Yeah,
Belloq referring to the Ark of the Covenant or to Marion?
No. He probably thinks both
Yeah.
for the next couple seconds.
Indy, he has almost a Zen-like acceptance.
Yeah, because when you think about it, what did he think was going to happen? If Belloq's like 20 feet over there while Indy's pulling this off, and he's had this happen to him enough times, didn't he know that exactly this was going to happen?
Well, and that's it. He doesn't think about it. But what's fascinating is, what is he worried about in the scene? He's not worried about the, mounting Nazi army above him.
The snakes.
Yeah, he's worried about the snakes.
Yeah.
Which is, it's like, so clearly he's not really that concerned about whatever's going on with Belloq this and the Nazis that. He's
The
freaked out
smart thing
about
to
the
do would have
snakes.
been, he should have just filled the crate with snakes and sent it up.
Oh
and
my
hidden the ark.
God. Once again, if you ever go to the Well of the Souls,
Yeah.
bring a herpetologist.
And bring a big stencil that says "Property of Indiana Jones," so that when Belloq gets, he's like, "Ooh, look at this."
But if you like archaeology, don't bring Belloq. I'm baffled by his reaction here, because he's opening up when he looks down into the Well of Souls for the first time, and this is like the greatest archaeological discovery since Howard Carter and King Tutankhamun's tomb, and probably if you take in the biblical factor, probably of all time. And Belloq is just completely disinterested. He doesn't even look around when he looks down there.
Well, he's fallen from the pure faith. He got his prize. He got his God CB radio. He's excited.
No,
That's what he
it's
came for.
true, but you wonder, is he really? Is he an archaeologist? Was he ever an archaeologist, or is he just
a treasure hunter?
a straight up tomb raider?
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's interesting because at the same time you're like, well, if Belloq and Indy are adversaries, you're like, what? Then is Indy even an archaeologist?
Well, it's established that there's no way that Indy is an archaeologist.
He's not.
No, but he sent lots of people into archaeology school, and only to realize that this isn't what they thought it was.
Exactly.
We've been hearing that over and over.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I never noticed is when you see Belloq up at the top, the door that they removed, that kind of ceiling trap door, is covered with hieroglyphs. and I'm curious what's that like. Is it like snakes? Watch out, danger.
Do not open till 3000 AD.
Yeah. It's not the Well of the Soul.
Yeah. Do not disturb.
You're digging in the wrong place.
Well, we're right on the brink of more taunting from Belloq, so maybe we should wrap this one up and come back tomorrow and see how Indy gets out of this one. He probably doesn't. This is probably it. He's going to get eaten by snakes, and then... Oh my gosh, Pete, is this like being trapped in the Sarlacc for 1,000 years? Write that down. Like he'll die almost right away from the snakes, but then he'll still be there for thousands of years just decaying and digesting.
Or eventually worse something.
Yeah. Maybe that's why Boba Fett was at the Sarlacc pit. He was going to dive in there, find some, all the dead people who are now worth something. It's all coming together.
Like, this moment's happening live.
Right, yeah.
Glad I could win. Like that just occurred to you, and you jumped on it.
Yeah, that's what.
I didn't even write that one down. Okay. Well, let's come back tomorrow. John, can you come back tomorrow and hang out with us some more?
I'd love to.
Awesome. But in the meantime, Pete, where can all the people find us and scream at us for all our Han Solo, Indiana Jones malarkey?
Find us on Facebook, Indiana Jones Minute. Join our Listener Society, Indiana Jones and the Listener's Crusade. We talk about a lot of this kind of stuff, and let us know what you see in Second 32. And you can also check us out on the web at indianajonesminute.com.
No one's going to come back tomorrow because they're going to be screaming and having night terrors from seeing that thing on the wall. We just ended the show. This is terrible. But if you survive and if your sanity is intact, please come back tomorrow for minute 72 of Raiders of the Lost Ark here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
China Cup.
Hello.
Jones.
Belloq.